Hello everybody, Randy McKee here at Soccer 605. I'm here at Roosevelt High School in Sioux Falls, South Dakota with the former Roosevelt standout, Karli Mueller. Karli, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, what's it feel like to be back at your old alma mater?
Oh, it's very weird. It makes me feel old.
You know, I parked out in the parking lot in the visitors section, but I imagine you probably still ought to have a park in the student section, aren't you?
Yeah, driving my brother's car, so I still have the parking tag.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, when we talked about this the other day about, you know, we're catching up with a lot of you players who have gone on and, you know, just trying to catch up over Christmas vacation with so many of you, and we thought it would be a great idea to start bringing you back to your high schools because, you know, obviously your club career had a lot to do with where you are today and the people there. But everybody that I talk to is always talking about high school. And, you know, we all know this. Athlete, student, business person, whatever, there's always a person or two or more in your background who've had a big impact on how you turned out. And I know I asked you to come up with one of your favorite soccer and teammate stories, but let's talk a little bit about some of the important adults here at Roosevelt during your tenure here.
Well, I had a teacher that I was really close with throughout all 4 years of high school. She was my Algebra 1 teacher my freshman year, and sophomore year I went through some things. My grandpa was diagnosed with cancer, and she just kind of helped me through that. And she would go running with me after school, you know, to keep me in shape, and she would help me with my homework since I traveled a lot. And she's just always been a big fan of mine and always supported me, and I'm really close with her family now, and I look at her 3 daughters as my little sisters, and I don't think I would be where I am without her. And just really love the fact that I can come back home and have more people than just my family to go back to and catch up with, and it's just a great feeling having such a good support system. And I know Miss Masika has touched many lives throughout Roosevelt. You know, everyone knows who she is, and kids just love going to talk to her, and just seeing her throughout the day. She can put a smile on anyone's face, and I feel very, very blessed to have someone like her in my life.
You know, and that door swings both directions. I've had a lot of people since I went on coaching hiatus ask me, God, do you miss it? What do you miss about it? And I think from my perspective, one of the biggest things I miss is being important to players, because, you know, when you're in there at that level of relationship, you are important to them. And, you know, hopefully we have some importance at Soccer 605 too, but it's a lot different. You know, I haven't ever chewed anybody out on Soccer 605 and probably won't. Yeah. So anyway, you know, you had a great career here at Sioux Falls Roosevelt, and I know at least the last part of your high school career, maybe all of it, you were fortunate enough to have Clay Glasgow as a coach. Talk a little bit about what it was like to play for Clay.
It was so awesome to play for Clay. He was just such a great person, and always was so awesome just to be around. And I was thankful enough to have him as a club coach for a year. So having him in the fall for high school, and then having him in the spring for club soccer. And Clay's just a great coach, has a great personality, great attitude, and just a very fun person to be around. And I think he's really developed Roosevelt soccer. You know, they've won the state championship the past 2 years. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that while I was here.
And everybody expected you to that year, and it just,
yes.
You know, that bad first game, it happens a lot.
Yep, that's, really unfortunate. But I'm really glad that the girls were able to give him the state championship, because he definitely is very deserving of that.
You know, he's absolutely one of my favorite people in soccer anywhere, not just South Dakota, but anywhere. And he has tremendous credibility, you know, in what he's done as a player, where he's come as a human. And I just look at him as being such a tremendous teacher of the game, and not just the game of being a teammate and being an honest person and being a hard worker. And, you know, he does everything he does by example.
Yeah, definitely. He's such an awesome person, and I wouldn't have wanted any other coach to be coaching me throughout my years of high school and club, and such a blessing.
So along your high school career, you probably have a good memory or two with you and teammates, and and I don't know how many of your teammates went on to play at the college level, but you probably through club and high school, you probably made a pretty good trip and went into a good battle or two. Why don't you kind of recount one or two of those?
I mean, throughout high school, I played high school soccer my freshman and senior year, and have countless memories. I remember specifically my freshman year. It was after a big game, I think it was a late game, and we didn't get done until really late. I think it was a Tuesday, so we all had school the next day, and Clay was just like, well, let's all go to Perkins, and we just sat at Perkins for hours and just talked, and it was an intense game. I'm pretty sure we ended up winning last minute, and so it was just everyone's emotions were all hyped up. No one was able to go home and go to bed, so we all went out to eat, and Clay he initiated all of it. He's like, let's just all go to Perkins. And my senior year was so much fun. Being one of the oldest on the teams, I had been through a lot, and I was just able to kind of be a role model for all the younger girls, and having Ricky Yazgar and Taylor Mahacek and Kelsey Wiff, that group of girls will forever have a special place in my heart. They are so awesome on and off the field, just good girls to hang around, always laughing with them, and I'm just so glad that I was able to spend my senior year with that group of girls.
We're going to get to see Taylor play. She committed at Augustana and along with Courtney.
Yep.
So, we're really looking forward to that. And, it's kind of funny looking back because Carol interviewed you at the state tournament in Mitchell. And we had no idea at that time what we had hold of. And of course, that was really early in Soccer 605. We didn't know all the players like we do today. But, I went back and watched that interview the other day. And I thought, that girl was she had a lot of poise. She had a lot of confidence. And obviously you should have. So let's move on to what you just finished up. Playing for the SEC champion Texas A&M Aggies. Just a year for that program to be feared. I mean, you guys stepped on the field and you scared everybody. And tell us a little bit about how the year started and what kind of the meaning of the season was to your team.
Well, we started out this season, it was a little rocky. We had lost, I think, three games before the conference season even started, and by that time in the season, we kind of had a come to Jesus meeting, and we were told that if the season were to end today, we wouldn't make the SEC tournament and we wouldn't make the NCAA tournament. And basically at that moment, we were just kind of like, we need to figure something out that's going to work for us. And we kind of came up with this saying, and we say, can't be beat, won't be beat. And that's just kind of how our season was. We just went back to that, and it was funny. The game following that meeting, we scored within the first 20 seconds of that game and ended up winning, I think it was 9-0 against Mississippi State. And so that was just a huge turnaround for our season. And, after that, we lost our last conference game to Florida, and then we lost to North Carolina. So after that kind of meeting and setting the can't be beat, won't be beat in stone, we had only lost 2 games, and they were very close games. And that just kind of brought everyone together, and our team was just a different team at that point in the season. And I think that saying will really stick with our team, and it was really good for us.
I've talked to coaches along my career about developing personality players. In your team, just like in Florida, just like North Carolina, I mean, your team is filled with players who are the best players in their team. So how does that all shake out? I mean, you were a personality player in your club team and at Roosevelt. You go into this big time Division I SEC school. Do you lose your identity as a personality player then, or do you have to make that identity bigger?
I think all of us who come into the season our freshman year, and we were all big time players, and so we all kind of go through it together. And you show up to practice and you don't have a good practice or you don't have a good game, and it's just it's an awkward feeling because you're not used to that, and you're not used to playing with girls that are so much better than you. And I think that being at a big time college, I think all the players go through that. And and even if you don't go to a big time college, I think you'll go through that. And I think it's just kind of like a shell shock almost. And just having the teammates that I do, and we're a very close-knit team, like we all go through it together, we all help each other, and we just make each other better. And I don't think necessarily we don't all want to necessarily be the best player on the team. We just want to be able to contribute to our team and have everyone on the team be the best player, because then that'll make our team the best it can be.
Well, and that certainly was very obvious during the season this year. So when you're and I was going to ask you this before you brought up your teammates and how everybody supports each other, but I imagine you all spend quite a bit of time with each other while you're in school.
Yeah, we spend so much time together, and thankfully our team is very, very close-knit. And I've heard from other teams, some other teams are like, oh, your seniors hang out with your freshmen? Like, that's kind of weird, and we just think it's weird not to. And I would consider all 21 girls on my team my best friends, and they've just made a huge impact on my life, and I couldn't ask for better teammates than I have right now.
How much of your college experience, from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night on an average day, how much of your day during the season is taken up by soccer?
Well, it just kind of depends, like where we're at in the season. We'll have lifting in the morning usually, and then we have practice. Our block of time for practice is 1 to 4, and so 4 hours at practice, and that includes film and all that, and then the lifting in the morning, that's probably 6 hours a day, and we do that Monday through Thursday. I mean, it gets to be a lot, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I think it would be very strange not to be spending that much time playing soccer.
Well, if you're going to play at the highest level,
yeah.
You have to. Well, so how do you keep up with all your school duties?
I mean, it's not too bad. We have, like our freshmen, we have mandatory study hours, and we have learning assistants, and we all are in the same building with all the other athletes, so everyone's kind of going through it together. And you can work with the baseball team or the tennis team and just kind of tag team everything. And our coaches are really supportive, and it's not too bad. It gets stressful sometimes. Like this year, we missed quite a bit of school towards the end of the season, but our professors are really cooperative, and so that really helps.
I know I've seen you talk very glowingly about the 12th man at Texas A&M, and I guess all those other students, the professors, everybody at that school is part of that big organization.
Yeah, the 12th man, it's so awesome. It's one of the things that drew me to that school is having that big and like that loyal of a student section, and just having 3,000 people at every game, and you don't get that at some colleges. You have a sideline full of parents, and so it's such a cool environment, and I think it really does make a difference with our athletics, having all those people stand behind us.
I know we were down at USD early in the season before they started their conference, and it was before school, so it was the soccer team and the football team were there. And a bunch of those football players, those giant guys, come, sitting in the stands, and they're watching those girls hitting each other out there, and they're going, ooh, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of respect there.
Yes, yeah, it's just very cool to have people that support you, and you score a goal or you knock some girl down and you have the whole crowd cheering. Like, it's an unbelievable feeling.
There are probably millions of young girls today running around saying, God, if I could just get to a point where I could play for North Carolina or play against them. But, given the big-time schools in the SEC, was it special to play against North Carolina, or was it just another tough game for you?
I think this year it was especially special just because they were the defending national champions, and, so they have a huge target on their back, as do we. And they played, A&M and North Carolina had played the year before I had gotten there, and A&M ended up beating them 4-3 in overtime. So the last time we had played North Carolina, we had won, and it was a very fun game. I think we got very unlucky, and I would absolutely love to play them again, and I think we will in the future. And I just think it's very cool to be able to say that we played the defending national champions, and because every little girl dreams of going to North Carolina, and it's a cool feeling to be able to try and beat them.
Yeah, and it is a cool feeling to beat them, and a cool feeling to take them all the way to the wall.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Well, great. Let's talk a little bit about, as everybody knows, you've had some appearances in the women's national team, and they've been having a lot of success at those younger age groups. Our U-17 boys beat Brazil 4-1 the other day, and and they beat England 5-1, I think, or 5-0. So we're seeing a lot of quality in those younger age groups. On the women's side, we've always seen that kind of quality, and it's because of the abundance of good women who are playing at the college level. So what's going on there with you?
Well, I went to 2 camps this past summer, and went to California and went to Sweden. And so I went to California right before preseason. I missed part of my preseason at A&M, but the coaches were totally fine with that. And
probably if you're training with the national team, they're going, we're okay with that.
Yeah, and we played Japan, the U-20s. We had 2 friendlies for them, and so then the national team took a break for the college season, and they had another camp over Thanksgiving for all the players that their teams didn't make the NCAA tournament. And then they just had a camp last week, I believe, and in Florida. And so I think, they're trying to evaluate as many players as they can before they set the roster for the World Cup qualifying, which is coming up in January. And so they'll send out the roster for that, and they'll have camps all throughout the spring before they set up the actual roster for the World Cup coming up in August. So I'm just going to keep working hard, keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully get called up and roster.
Well, you've had some great minutes for them.
Yeah.
So, did you, over the course then of the college season, did you get to play against any of your national team teammates?
I don't, not during season, like conference, but when we played Texas Tech, there's a forward, Janine Becky. She played on the national team with me, and so it was kind of cool going against her, defender, and she was a forward, so that was really cool. And then playing North Carolina, they have a good amount of national team players, whether it's U-20s or U-23, and even, I think, a couple full national team players on that team. And so I think it's just very cool to be able to play some of your teammates while you're representing your college.
Absolutely, and you can't, it's a different level, but it's about the same type of dynamic. I remember back when I was an ODP coach, and these the guys in those teams would go home, and then they play each other in club and high school, and they always played a little extra harder.
Yeah.
But they would stop and help the other guy up off the ground after they knocked him on his camp too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. You don't want your teammate to beat you, and but it's all out of love and out of fun, and after the game, whether you lose or whether you win, you will always go up to that person and give them a hug, like, it's good to see you, good game, it's just such a great group of people, and I think it's really a good learning thing to be playing your teammates, and it's just very cool.
Well, it is. And another thing I think is very cool, you took some time during your vacation to come visit with us again. You know, we and everybody loves when we talk to you players that have gone out and come back, and you know, you have so much to share with these younger players who admire you. So I'm going to let you go here in a minute, but I just wonder if you had, if you're, say you're looking in the camera and looking out in the world and you're talking to a U13 girl who maybe isn't the biggest or the strongest player in her team right now, but she has a burning desire to be one of the people they call on in the team. What kind of advice do you have for that girl?
I would just say, you know, just keep working hard. And I mean, look at me, I'm 5'3". I was never the biggest girl. I was usually the smallest girl on any team, and still one of the smaller players in the NCAA. And I just think, you know, if you really want to go far with soccer, then that's what you just need to set your heart to it, set your mind to it, and just work your butt off, and it'll all pay off. I would say do things on your own, get with some friends, like just do whatever possible, and if you set your mind to it, you should be able to do it.
Well, and one thing we're seeing too, just because you lift it every morning, you don't have big, huge muscles, do you? Women don't bulk up like that, but it is important to be physically strong.
Yes, it is. Not only just to be, you know, be able to get people off of you and kick the ball, and but also to prevent injuries. That's a big thing. You know, we work on that a lot throughout the season, keeping our legs strong to protect our knees, and getting our hips strong, and just all of that contributes to being a well-rounded athlete.
Fantastic. Well, Karli Mueller, thanks so much for sitting down with Soccer 605 again. I can envision us doing this a few more times, and maybe even more.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And, you know, I don't know if you're looking into the pro ranks right now, but it looks like they're making professional women's soccer stronger and stronger and stronger every year.
Can't wait. That's one of my goals. I just decided just recently, actually, that I really want to pursue a career with professional soccer, and you know, they're adding all these teams, and they just added the Houston Dash, which is 70 miles away from where I go to school right now, and so that's just a very, very exciting time for me.
Sure is. Well, it's an exciting time for all of us here. Again, Karli, thanks a lot for coming and visiting with us, and look forward to the next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.